the awakening phase, often for many souls, will start out with positive experiences. We are often taken into these positive experiences to get us more grounded and ready to deal with things that are going to be more intense further down the path. What can sometimes happen, and this is one of the important things during the awakening period, is that it's important not to think that when you have your first experience or your first, whether it's an out-of-body experience or if it's some other type of spiritual awakening, because people sometimes have different types where it comes to them in different ways, that what you have seen or what you have experienced is all that there is to know. And what sometimes happens, because people don't realize, okay, you've touched that tip of that iceberg. I remember the first time I had it was probably my second or third out-of-body experience beyond what I had at the age of 9. When I first started having them at the age of 22, it was like the second or third. I'm like, wow, I'm like, oh my gosh, how did I know? How could anyone know? There's so much. I could not have fathomed how much more was coming. So it's good to have that hindsight of knowing there is always going to be more. And now, I've had so much now that I know that there's always more, that God is too big for any of us as human beings to comprehend. So there's always going to be more. And so we can only speak to that which we've seen. In the awakening phase, a lot of times it will be very positive. There are some people who have some experiences that are different. That none of it is exactly the same across the board, but there are some, these phases that I describe are pretty similar to what people will go through. A lot of what happens in the awakening phase is the beginning stuff. You experience being out of your body, and then you also learn how to experience vision, sight, smell, hearing in the consciousness rather than the physical body. Then you have to learn things like, how do I move? And then how do I move through physical objects? All of these things require some training and trial and error. And then you start learning more, like you do a little bit around the astral plane, and then you start learning about corridors. And so you're going to start there. A lot of times people will start in the awakening with past life memories and things like this. And you're going to start also with your initial teachers. Whatever your initial teachers are going to be, my initial ones began about the concepts of oneness, and that was with a teacher that I had named Emmanuel, and that's not the same as Jesus. He was a different Emmanuel, and it goes on to different teachers. And so that's a lot of what happens in that primary awakening phase.